Joe Tacopina. He's a criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor, longtime friend of mine. Joe, since we're talking about the importance of sartorial choices, this is a complete coincidence that I'm dressed like a choir boy, given the nature of some of the testimony and the evidence that we're going to be dealing with in this case. Help me to sort of think through picking the ultimate juror when you know things are going to get juicy and racy and dirty and all the rest.
Look, this is a case where you either want one of two jurors. Jurors are going to be so, as a defense attorney, and let's be real, we want jurors. We could all say we want fair jurors and honest jurors. We could all say it. That's what we're supposed to want. Let's be real and say we want jurors who are going to be best for our side, right? We want jurors who we think are going to make our chance of winning higher. Both sides want that. Prosecutors want that too. Don't kid yourself. So I think in this case, you wanted the jurors who are enamored with P. Diddy, what he stood for, who he is, where he came from, people who appreciate that he sort of a rags to riches story, if you will, or I'm going to surprise some people with this, very, very smart jurors. And what I mean by that is I've had these cases where people have, perceived guilt before we even pick the jury. And in those cases, of course, if I'm going to trial on the case, I believe I have a defense. And in those cases, I want really smart jurors because I want them to be able to put aside sort of the preconceived public sentiment and the evidence and to focus on what is the real issues in the case and what a reasonable doubt is, because that's really what this case is going to fall on. There's one issue in this case, really, Ashleigh, that this whole, we can talk about freak-offs and swingers and this and that. It's one issue, consent. Were these women consenting to be part of this world, these freak-offs, the P. Diddy world, or were they not? Were they coerced? Were they coerced? Were they forced against their will? It's just that simple. It's really what you have to, ask yourself, and what this jury is going to be forced to answer. Was this consensual or not?
Let me ask you a question. If this was your client and, P. Diddy, there aren't enough bulbs that are bright enough to depict the power that this guy has just in, being in his presence, he just takes the oxygen out of the room. Would you put him on the stand? Do you think that this guy as a performer, as a masterful performer, would be helpful to your case on the stand?
It's here's the real honest answer, and if any defense attorney worth their salt say this to you, it is absolutely too early to make that determination. Look, the ASAP Rocky trial we just finished, it was our intention 100% of the way for Rocky to testify in that case. He was going to testify. He was prepared to testify. We had prepped his testimony. By the time we got there, we chose not to put him on the stand because we thought, the case was already in our hands. And putting him on the stand would have delayed the jury getting this case, would have removed this case further from the destruction of their chief witness. Of course, even a truth teller could be made to look like a liar under a skillful cross-examination. And the focus then becomes on him. Once the defendant takes the stand, forget all the damage you've done to the prosecution's witnesses, the reasonable doubts you may have, brought out from the prosecution's witnesses, the inconsistencies, maybe the lies that you've elicited from the prosecution witnesses. That all becomes background noise. What becomes the focal point of the whole trial is the defendant credible? Is he telling the truth or is he lying? If the defendant is seen to be a liar by the jury, game, set, and match. It doesn't matter what damage you've done to us. So that's why most defendants do not testify.
He's likable. He's proven billions of dollars over that he's really likable. So, but who knows? You're right. It's really early. Joe, you're so great.
Play that videotape. They can play a videotape, though. So.
Oh, very good point. Yeah, no blue sweater is going to overcome that. Joey Tacopina, will you come back and talk to me about this as the case goes on? I think we're going to be several weeks in this.
Sure, Ashleigh. Absolutely.
Good to have you, as always. Thanks so much.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.